Gladiator 2. Let's talk about it. Hello people, welcome to What to See Next, a show where I recommend movies and other types of media for you to watch. So I just saw Gladiator 2 and I have some thoughts, which I think is worth making a video about. It seems like Gladiator 2 has been getting some positive reviews from both critics and audience members. However, every time I look on YouTube, people seem disappointed. I get that a large part of it has to do with it not living up to the expectations of fans. People also think that it is a retread of the first movie. I felt it even while watching. The plot points have all been done before, and the revenge aspect is nothing new. People have seen this done in other movies and TV shows before, since Gladiator 1 even. All of that is to say, I get why people are disappointed. I see where you all are coming from. At the same time, I want to make a case for this movie. Gladiator 2 takes place years after the first one and tells the story of Lucius, who is a prisoner of war that gets captured by Roman soldiers. With rage in his heart, he is forced to be a gladiator, which sets him on a path of revenge. The film is directed by Ridley Scott and stars a bunch of famous people, including Paul Mescal, Pedro Pascal, Connie Nielson, Denzel Washington, and many more. Seeing the movie was a great experience. I get that it is kind of a cliche now to say the phrase, they don't make them like they used to, but in this case, it's true. There's no movies like this anymore. The sword and sandals type of movies. I would watch other movies with the same aesthetic when I was younger. Clash of the Titans, Wrath of the Titans, Prince of Persia, you name it. I do have a soft spot for these movies. Gladiator 2 feels like a movie that would be made in the mid-2000s with a gigantic budget, big name actors, and a huge ensemble on screen. I love me a good indie, I do, but I would say that I love all movies in general, and I like to see movies like this one as well. This movie is a long one, and I think it has to be able to tell the story that it, encompasses. It is an epic of epic proportion of epicness. The movie is big, and I was invested the whole time. Forgive me for making this comparison, as it may seem odd to some, but at times this movie does feel like a Roman version of The Hunger Games. You get the epic battles and the combat scenes, but in between these scenes, you get to follow these characters and see how they navigate this world and its system. You see how they have to get clever, how they talk to their friends and enemies, how a person makes a system work for them and not the other way around, as the old times were brutal and you have to be slightly cunning to get by. It honestly felt like watching Game of Thrones in the movie theater. There's a lot of wine drinking, grape eating, and armor clinking happening, and it is enveloped by this world that Ridley Scott has created, a world that is incredibly well realized. It is in and of itself a character in the movie. Paul Mescal is good in the movie. I have never seen him in anything before, but this guy sells the performance, and he sure does have the chops to pull off convincing fight scenes. The same thing goes for Pedro Pascal. I just love him in everything he does, to be honest. It's not even a surprise to say he's great in a movie anymore, as it is expected. The relationship between him, Paul Mescal, and Connie Nielson, who was also great in the film, provides a great deal of drama, which at times can take a little bit of a backseat for other plot elements, but it all builds towards the scene between these two in the Colosseum that I thought was quite impactful. The two emperors in the movie, played by Fred Hechinger and Joseph Quinn, can get a little hammy for some people. Their acting for these emperors somewhat reminded me of King Joffrey from Game of Thrones, down to the blonde hair. To some people, they can dial it up a bit too much at times, but it was effective for me, as I was hate watching their characters in a very enjoyable way. However, my favorite performance in the movie was not any of the ones I just mentioned. That title goes to Denzel Washington. This dude was so good in the film. I mean, it makes sense. He is a legend in the acting world after all, but boy does he know how to make every scene that he's in entertaining. I looked forward to scenes with him, and every time he came on, I just didn't want it to end. Something about the way he speaks, his cadence, the body language just drew me in. I couldn't get enough of it. It is by far the best and most standout performance of the film. At the end of the day, Gladiator 2 was a good time at the movies for me. Sure, there's no way that it was as good as the first one, but I don't think that was Ridley Scott's intention with this movie. What I saw while watching the film was a filmmaker doing what he does best, trying to give the audience a good time, and I think he succeeded for the most part. If you've seen Gladiator 2, I would love to hear your thoughts. Leave them down in the comments below. I will try to reply to every comment I get, which I think is possible considering the size of my channel. Other than that, if you could like the video, that would be great, and subscribing would even be better. I'll be back with more videos soon. Peace.